Okay, is Jesus real? Which Jesus is real? You got Jesus of this book right here. But we have loads of denominations have produced a Jesus of the Methodists, a Jesus of the Calvinists, a Jesus of the Armenians. Which Jesus is the real Jesus? Now we got Jesus of Dr. George G. Ritchie, who believes Jesus is nothing but love, doesn't send people to hell, but we send ourselves there by the lives we lead. And the Jesus of Howard Storm, same Jesus as George G. Ritchie, except whereas George G. Ritchie does not believe Jesus died so that we could be forgiven of our sins, Howard Storm seems to believe this. But he also believes that Jesus went to other alien worlds and incarnated as the respective alien and died for their sins on their other worlds. So Howard Storm believes in the Jesus who and since Howard Storm says God is continually creating new races, Howard Storm apparently believes that Jesus is gonna forever keep going incarnating as aliens in other worlds and keep on dying for their sins, which really is a slap in the face to Hebrews said that Jesus, once he had purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty. Which Jesus is real? Is Jesus even real? Is Jesus even real? All I know is me. The Jesus of the Bible. That's all I can say. Back in early days, 1995, I believed in the Jesus also of Dr. George G. Ritchie III, and it comforted me. But still, there was something about Jesus of this book right here that troubled my waters, because I knew I was not born again. But when I read Dr. George G. Ritchie's Jesus, it comforted me that maybe I was saved. Maybe I was born again and didn't know it. But no matter how much the Jesus of Dr. George G. Ritchie comforted me, whenever I heard sermons on the new birth, the waters were troubled. Whenever I'd be at the nightclub enjoying having a grand old time when the fun was over, I'd be thinking that I was not born again. I'd be distressed that the fun was over. Not distressed, but really bothered. Disturbed. That's the word. Disturbed. That something was not right inside. And that something was not right. I remember in class, in HRD class in January and February of 1994, hearing Kim's mother describe being born again, and thinking to myself, agreeing wholeheartedly with what she said, but I didn't feel I had the same experience. But I comforted myself in believing that on Dr. George G. Ritchie's Jesus. But no matter how much I read that book, Return from Noir, and comforted myself with that Jesus loved me, and believe me, I truly, because of that book, I truly believed that Jesus loved me. I still do. I believed that Jesus loved me. I really did. I believed this was the truth. I believe I somehow was able to believe that both the Jesus of the Bible and the Jesus of Dr. George E. Ritchie wasn't one and the same. But whenever I heard sermons that believe strictly in this Jesus and not the Jesus of Dr. George Ritchie, the waters were troubled. It's like I knew the Spirit of God was dealing with me. It's like somehow I know I know this Jesus right here is the real Jesus. You're not the Jesus of Howard Storm, Dr. George Ritchie. Now, if Jesus is really real, then this feeling I feel about the real Jesus, no matter how many different Jesuses I hear about, it should be universal. Somewhere in every person that lives, that this Jesus is the real Jesus. If Jesus is real. But if this sense of intuition is not in everybody, then it's not the real Jesus. Then it's my psychological conditioning over a decade, ever since I was a little child. The true test is this. Raise up a child believing in the Jesus of Dr. George G. Ritchie, the liberal Jesus. The Jesus who won't send anybody to hell. From the time he's born, get him to believe in this Jesus. And all he hears about is this Jesus for 30 years old. And then present the Jesus of the Bible, who died for sins, who's coming back to cast into hell everybody who does iniquity and offends. And if Jesus is real, something should trouble his waters. No matter how long he's believed in the Jesus, Dr. George G. Ritchie III. This is how we can know that Jesus is really real. If he transcends these other Jesuses. If he produces any Jesus can, even the false Jesuses can produce fuzzy wuzzy feelings of love that can be quite real. But only the real Jesus can produce a knowing you somehow know it as if by intuition. That he's real, that he loves you, not because of some near-death experience. You should that should be the test.